Hey everybody, I'm Derek Cuff, and let's get buzzed.
You both have incredible potential, and I think tonight you both raised the game and you elevated so much in your journey on the show. Man, Matt, I felt your energy tonight. You had a performance. You were so fierce tonight, Kenya. I loved it. Man, I think tonight I'm gonna save Kenya and Brandon.
Got one for Matt and Lindsay. We have one for Kenya and Brandon.
All right, Derek, we have so much to discuss as this season has been so wild this far. As somebody who's been attached to this show for so many years, why do you think the season seems to be so much more competitive and, dare I say, like, more talented than years past?
I think you just said it. I think that the dancers, the celebrities are some really great dancers. Especially the ladies. I think, from Melora to Amanda, to JoJo, to Suni. They're all really, really, really good. And then the fellas this past week, they all had these really great breakthroughs. Jimmy, it's interesting. I feel like some celebrities get like lost in this experience, which is in a good way. Like they get really immersed in it and they just like take it on. And I really feel that from Jimmy. And Iman, he had this iconic like lift at the beginning and the end of his routine. It was incredible. But I don't know, man. It's a really competitive season. I think usually you kind of have an idea who's gonna maybe take it or something like that, or towards the end. But it could change. It could change anytime. And I don't know. It's been a really, really enjoyable season so far, though.
It's been pretty crazy because I was not expecting Brian and Matt to go home this week. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, dang. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, they're there mainly because of the votes, right? There wasn't enough votes there. However, the scores, of course, play a part as well. And I know Brian, I think he had the lowest scores that night, which probably didn't help. And from what I hear, actually, it is everything is very close. Like it's very like 1 or 2 points can make the difference, is what I'm hearing. But Matt, man, that broke my heart. That broke my heart a little bit because you could just see how much he loved it, and he just loved being there, and he was such a great performer. And it just kind of came down to the wire right there. It was so close, and between Kenya and Matt, and Kenya, when you look on paper, she definitely had higher scores throughout the season, and she's definitely more of a refined dancer. But Matt was a great performer, so it could have gone either way, and it did. It was a split decision, and I still, to be honest with you, I don't still quite understand. There's 4 judges, and I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out myself. Like it's
like the math doesn't make sense.
Yeah, because it was like 2 votes each, so technically it's a tie. So I don't know how that works out. I think maybe Len probably has like a 2 vote weight.
Yeah, he has like seniority, right?
Yeah, so it's like if it's split, if it's 2-1, then he has the overriding decision. But I was kind of thinking that I was like, wait a minute, it's split now, but I think he has like the like a 2 vote weight. So
I mean, it's surprising, especially because looking at Dancing with the Stars history, it seems like the Bachelor franchise usually does so well because they have such a loyal fan base. So were you surprised in the first place to see that Matt was at the bottom and that fan base didn't like pull through?
Yeah, I was very surprised. Because he's again, he need to work on the dancing element, of course. But his charisma and his performance was so great, and I think that's usually what people vote for a lot of the time. They vote for that connection, that like enjoyment. So I don't know, man. I don't know. It was a bummer. My heart goes out to like, because some people when they get knocked out, you're kind of like, okay, but then there's others who get knocked out where they wanted to keep going so badly, and that breaks my heart because I know what that feels like, and it sucks.
Totally. And then with Brian, it kind of seems like his relationship with Sharna was holding him back a little bit. I mean, those were comments from the judges quite often throughout the season. Why do you think that you guys and viewers as well were so critical of their relationship on the ballroom floor?
I I wouldn't recall feeling critical of the relationship aspect, but I think there was just too much
Too much
focus on it,
PDA.
perhaps. No,
Okay.
I just think it was just too much focus on it. I think it was just it's actually something I wanted to say. I just never have time up behind the judge's
Yeah.
desk. It's the thing is that the first week for me, it's like, okay, cool, they're together, they had a couple, awesome. But from then on, for me personally, I'm like, I'm watching him. I'm watching his journey. I'm watching how he's improving, how he's getting better, or if he is, or if he isn't, or if he's plateauing, or whatever it might be. And them being a couple for me becomes irrelevant, I think, after week one. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's about his journey. This is his experience, and we're here to guide him on his experience. I think what it was, I think that trying to find the way to communicate, there was just a sense that there was a lot of reliance, right? Like of, when he was dancing with her, when he was, like sort of looking at her, it had nothing to do with like the romance or the connection, nothing like that. Just the actual technicality of it, right? Of just like the arm was down, the posture was here, the eyes were here. It was more the physicality. For me, it had nothing to do with anything else other than the actual technicality of the dancing itself. And I think that for me, I think they were great together. I think and I love seeing them together as a couple and everything. And I think I was a little bit like, hey, let's move past the couple thing. Let's focus on the dancing thing. What I was, even like when I was, with the judges and maybe other people might be talking about it. But I know if I was in that position, I'd be like, hey, can we talk about like the dancing and not about the couples thing?
Yeah.
You
Well, I'm
know,
glad you said that and cleared that up too, because I was on Twitter that night that they got sent home and everybody was like, why are they getting penalized for their PDA, blah, blah, blah. So it's nice to hear from a judge that that was not part of it at all. It was solely the dancing.
oh, not at all. Not at all. No. For me, I love, hey, the PDA, the whole thing, like, I love it. I mean, I dance with my girl. I dance with my girl on my show here in Vegas. Like, I love it. And I'm on stage and I give her a little kiss and like a little moment here. And like,
It's part of the
I'm all for
entertainment.
that. I love it. And it's also just, it's authentic. It's like, that's your woman. That's your man. Like, enjoy yourselves. But no, for me, it was 100% just, I just like wanted to get in there. Like, all right, here we go. Let's work on this. Let's get this arm going here. Let's get this posture going here. Let's get this focus. Let's get this energy. Yeah. It had nothing to do with their connection, because I love it. I'm a absolute fan of it, and I love seeing them so happy. And and at the end of the day, that's the thing too, is that with that experience, it's an interesting experience to be a part of. It's an interesting dynamic, you know what I mean? So anyways, I wish them the best. I love them both. So
Wonderful. Well, in other positive and exciting news, Melora got the first 10 of the season. Is she the underdog this year?
Melora,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say she's an underdog at all. I think she's consistently been fantastic. And what I love about her is that she just has like an oomph to her when she hits something. And what I love about her is that the stuff that comes from her. You know what I mean? I think Artem is showing her, obviously, like, the moves and the choreography and certain things, and of course like the technique. But there's moments in there where you're like, oh, that just came from Melora. Like that's her. And I love that. Whereas sometimes you see people, dancing, you're like, okay, the coach, told them, okay, this is what you need to do here. This is how you smile here. This is how you perform here. But what I love about her is that it really feels like it comes from her. And I really feel that when she performs. So I would say maybe a dark horse, perhaps, when you first heard her, in the cast announcement, the reveal the cast. But no, for me, I think she's right up there. I mean, look, Len gave her a 10. What can you say?
It was cool talking to her yesterday because she was like, it feels like everything finally came together, because I was kind of in a position where I was like very self-conscious being on the show and it was bringing out insecurities. And then all of a sudden I got to be a character. I got to be a Disney villain, and I got to use my acting chops at the same time as singing the song I was dancing to. And it just made me feel comfortable. And it like made me grow as a person, which I think is a beautiful thing that Dancing with the Stars give these celebrities.
Man, it's my favorite part about the show is seeing that sort of the transformation happen, not just, physically and seeing them improve, dancing, but the transformation of this like confidence or this reclaiming something. Really, that's why I like to call it reclaiming something, because I really believe that there's like a dancer. We all have this dancer in us. I really believe that it's like primal, and when we tap into that, it's like this, like we're reclaiming this part of ourselves that we might have forgotten or we haven't quite tapped into yet. And especially with my partners in the past, that moment is like, that's like the greatest feeling to witness. And that's what makes the show so special for me, are those moments. And even with the guys as well, I'm starting to see that with the fellas where they're like, wait a minute, I love this. Like, I'm really enjoying this. Like, why? What's happening? And
Yeah.
it's this really cool thing. And I love it. I love it.
I kind of want to go into that. I kind of want to go through all the remaining stars, and I want you to say what you think you've noticed they've kind of changed and improved, whether it's technical or just like you can tell with this confidence or whatever it is. You tell me. So, Olivia Jade, what have you seen her grow and improve through the season?
Olivia Jade, but first of all, she is an absolute dark horse you hear her name, you're like, okay, cool, Olivia Jade. Sorry.
No problem.
And sorry. She's amazing. She is a great performer. Like she's a very natural dancer. She moves very naturally.
Yeah.
But her performance is so impressive because it's just like effortless and it's fun and it's really engaging. Like whenever I watch her, I'm just like, I'm thoroughly entertained every time. So for me, I think she's improved technically. Like she's gotten her, her shoulders down. She's elongating her movements a little bit more, finishing her movements, so I think she's definitely improved a lot. And I think that, I don't know, I think she'll go far.
Cody Rigsby.
Uh, we're so professional here.
No problem.
Cody Rigsby. Cody, well, obviously they had a really challenging couple weeks, which, I commended them last week, for doing 2 dances with very, very, very short amount of time of rehearsal. So they did a great job considering the time they had. I would say for me, I would love to see him work a little bit more on the technical aspect of it, right? Because when he's by himself and he's dancing, like you're like, oh, okay, like he's in his element. He feels great. He's performing. But when he gets to the technical aspects of the Latin, the ballroom side of it, which is what this show's about, you could see it kind of it gets like closed in. His energy goes this way instead of like back out, like a big frame and here and getting low on the legs. And so I'd love to see him work a bit more on the technical part of it, because he has the performance, he has the charisma, he has all that. That's already there. So now it's just like, okay, cool. Now let's work on this technical aspect. And I think he'll do great because I think he's got a big following. I think a lot of people support him, and so I think he'll do well.
Especially dancing when you have COVID, I can't even imagine to like get out of bed and perform. That's just
and beyond that, I think it's just the time, the rehearsal time. That's the challenging part.
Totally. Okay. Suni,
she is so great to see her just like smile and open up more. I've really loved seeing that with her. And from week 1, I could tell like she would like smile, but then she would like close her mouth, and she would like smile, and then she like stop herself almost. I'm like, no, let it go, let it fly. Like, just, we're all here. That's the other thing too, is that we're all rooting for them. That's the thing. At the end of the day, we're all rooting for these celebrities to do well. We want them to do well. We want them to succeed. We want them to have these breakthroughs. We are rooting for that. And so when they do have it, we were just like, yes, like we were so happy for them. And you just see her starting to just relax into it and enjoy it more. Because she's, it's gymnastics are all about perfection, right? And all about like precision. And as much as we love that, but you also have to have the reckless abandonment as well when you're dancing. So it's finding that combination. And I think she's starting to sort of like step into that a little bit.
I love that. What about JoJo?
JoJo. I loved her waltz. I loved how she, it sounds so ridiculous. Even my girlfriend kind of gets in my case about it sometimes, but I love the hair slicked and back and no crazy hair movements. So when
Yeah.
she had it back in a bun that night, I was like, oh, I love this because it was just so clean and just clean. But she's an amazing performer. She's incredible, And what I've loved and what I've seen her improve on is I think that one of my last critiques a couple weeks ago was, more isn't more, right? It's not like bah, 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 bah. It's like more. In dancing, it's a combination. You need that light and shade. You need those dynamics, to create,
Mhm.
And what she did that waltz, it was so like a breath of fresh air. It was so nice to see because I know that she has the power. She has all that energy. But with this one, it was great to see that control and that subtle beauty. It was really, really nice. So I think she's finding that dynamic, finding that, where to be hard, where to be calm, where to be, strong, and change it up. Find that dynamic flow.
I love that they are doing so well as a female partnership because it's hard to be able to learn both roles, the lead and the follow. Would you ever want to do that with another male partner one day?
Oh, I would love to. There's an Argentine tango. I can't remember what they call it exactly, but there's two gentlemen doing the Argentine tango, and it is one of the coolest things you'll ever see. It is so cool. So I've always wanted to do that, and so yeah, I think I'll definitely do that in the future. It's such a cool thing I've seen, and it'd be awesome. It'd be awesome. But two female partners, especially in the ballroom world, isn't very. It's not new. They've been doing that for decades, if not longer. Especially in England, and then all the competitions growing up there, they have all girl competitions, and so it's they're doing a great job.
They are. What about Iman?
Iman, oh my gosh, my man, this Iman. I think for me, I think I've seen like the most improvement, which has been really cool. Where you're not really quite sure. You're like, all right, are they gonna embrace this? Are they gonna really like? And he had a great first week, and then and then this last week, man, he I don't know, he just like stepped into it. He just like, okay, I'm here, I'm doing this, and I love this, and I'm feeling this, and you sense that, you feel that, and um, technically, it's not the best. And I don't know how far we'll get there with like the technical side of it. I think it definitely has improved, but his commitment and his, to the dancing is undeniable. And I really, man, I gave him a 9 for his tango, man. Because that was the thing too. It was a moment. Sometimes you're judging the technique. Sometimes you're judging this, but sometimes you're just judging like a moment. And that was like a moment.
I love that. What about Amanda?
Amanda, well, she's like a pro. I mean, she looks incredible out there. And especially for being that long, being that long and that tall, usually it can look a little like gangly, a little bit. It's a little hard to control, honestly, because there's just more. There's just more to control. But she looks fantastic. Every week. So I think with her, it's interesting because she comes into it already at a really high level.
Mm-hmm.
It can sometimes be difficult to go to that next level that makes you go, oh wow, okay, there's been this improvement, there's been like this, like, what I mean, there's been like this transformation, if you will. And that last little bit, that's the hardest part. This part of improvement from like here coming up here, that's like, okay, we can see that. It's that last little bit where and she's like started here, right? So it's just that, like, that extra little bit, that's the hardest area to get to improve. But she has the absolute ability to do that. And yeah, I definitely see her going extremely far in this competition. She has everything. She's fantastic.
Absolutely. We've already talked about Melora and Jimmy, so we'll skip those. What about the Miz?
The Miz, my man, the Miz, man. He you talk about commitment. That dude, he is a born entertainer. Oh my gosh. And I loved, man, I don't know if people know this about him, but after the genie, when he was dressed up like the genie, with all
Mhm.
those prosthetics, he told the makeup department, he goes, I don't care what I don't care what I have to do, like at home, if I have to rip my hair out or whatever it is, but I'm going home to my kids dressed like this. And because I'm gonna be the genie for them, the real life genie, and I'm going home to see my kids, and I'm gonna like just make their dreams come true. And I just thought that was like so sweet, and that was such a cool thing. And but I've been so impressed with him because you could look at him and think like, okay, he's gonna be a little bit heavy handed, he's gonna be a little bit like coming in like this, but he'll like come out there and he has finesse, he has texture in his movement, as well as power, and he has the performance. So I don't know, the Miz, I think he's kind of like he's just been consistently getting better and better and more just committing to what he's doing. And I think he's yeah, man, I like him a lot. I think he has a lot of potential to go far.
One to look out for. And the last one, Mel C, your favorite from the beginning.
Mel C, I love Mel C. She is man, Mel C, she's again so athletic, so she just like knows her body, right? She just is
Yeah.
so in tune. For her is it's there's this I think for me, what I want to see with her a little bit is how I'm trying to say it, because her movement's there, right? Her body's there. It's sort of like, but I sometimes can see the the thought process or the thinking happening here with what she's doing, and it takes me out of it a little bit.
Mhm.
Whereas, like, I feel like if she just gave a little bit more, like, um, I don't know, a little bit,
Confidence?
and just like let go a little bit, right? I'll let
Right.
go of it a little bit. I think because she's so precise and so like everything is there, which I love and I appreciate so much, and I'm all about that. I love precision, but letting loose a little bit, and just the performance aspect. But she's amazing. She's fantastic. I'm hope she does well, and yeah, we'll see what happens.
Well, Derek, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you going through all of the contestants
I
because
know. Oh my
your
gosh, it's like
insight was so like great. I mean, it's great to hear you say it in like a not judge way, to just genuinely give it as a fan your opinion.
yeah. Well, I mean, here's at the end of the day, like I said before, I want them all to succeed. I'm rooting for them all. I want them all to have this amazing moments and breakthroughs. And yeah, it's an amazing show. It's an amazing show, and I love it so much. And being a part of it for so long, and then being on this side of the table, um, you know, I want to offer anything I can to help their journey on this beautiful experience. So.